Now to security matters, Vice President Kashim Shettima has directed the adoption of technology-driven strategies to combat terrorism, cybercrime, and border security challenges facing Nigeria and the entire African continent. Shettima said while Africa and Nigeria were currently navigating some of the most troubling times in areas such as security and economy, the challenges required innovative solutions. Speaking in Abuja when he received in audience members of Executive Intelligence Management Course 17 from the National Institute for Security Studies, Shettima acknowledged the current security and economic challenges in Nigeria. He stated that advancements in artificial intelligence presented significant opportunities for improvement in critical sectors of the economy. To further discuss this now, I'm joined by Alex Okonkwo, security expert and public affairs analyst. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you.
An absolute pleasure having you join us as well. Now, Alex, in light of Vice President Shettima's call for technology-driven strategies to address security challenges, how exactly can AI and other emerging technologies effectively integrate into Nigeria's national security framework, especially in combating terrorism and cybercrime?
Oh, yes, that's a big file. I mean, thank God for the Vice President saying such a thing at such a time, because we have a lot of fintech that are doing a lot of good work in terms of the financial sector, but they're not doing quite a lot in security. So all he's saying is that a lot of people should start thinking of what they can do in the security sector as well. To be precise to your question, it's going to help us in various ways. We're going to be able to even combat enemies that are hacking into our system, because we still have that risk. So we ourselves have to dot ourselves with a strong AI-based security system that can help us combat hacking into our own security systems. That's the first thing. The second thing is we're going to have a good geo-mapping system, which we don't have currently. That is, know where the forests are, know how people are moving, use laser, use body reconnaissance. These things have to be developed by Nigerians, or at least take the technology that exists out there and adapt them to what we have in Nigeria. The other thing is that our military is going to be able to use it. A lot of the combat we have now are asymmetric. It means it's not with military. We're not fighting an army. We're fighting people that move around. They're very dynamic. They move in groups of 50 up to groups of 200, and they move on bikes. So if we're going to use our armored vehicles, they have to be AI assisted, because sometimes you would have to shoot without actually seeing, as in physically, but then you're seeing through technology. So all those things, and it's going to even help the command unit in terms of planning and strategy. So in other words, what the Vice President is saying is that, please, young people into tech should not only focus on banking and payment services. We have quite a lot of that. I mean, all the brands that we have in terms of payment systems, but we're not doing a lot in terms of assisting the security aspect of it. So we have the able people, we have very smart people, we have very intelligent people, both home and abroad, but they should come and invest in security. That said, he's also shooting the federal government on its own foot, because he's saying the federal government itself should be open to those people when they come, because they're going to be partnerships. Everybody's in it for the money. Those companies are not going to leave the banking system and go to the security system if it's not viable for them. So the federal government will have to do its part as well. But ideally, he's saying young people, come into security, bring your technology, let's work for the safety of the country.
Right. Now, Nigeria and the broader African continent face significant security and economic challenges. What role do you believe cybersecurity plays in safeguarding national security, and how can the governments better protect their digital infrastructure from internal and external threats?
Okay, yes, we're already doing quite a lot with our neighboring countries. We work a lot with other organizations like the IBSM, Interpol, and all that. So we're doing quite a lot in that sense. What we're not doing enough is because of the political problems we've had recently, with countries like Niger and Burkina Faso who have moved into a military regime. So we're a little bit, is more diplomatic. The problems are more diplomatic than technology, because already with the US, the UK, and France particularly, we already have organizations that help us assist in exchanging information within the West African zone. I'm talking of within the ECOWAS zone. So a lot is being done already. But of course, what we need to do is to increase finance and increase human resources. Let me explain this. It is not enough to have the information that a group of people are going to cross our border from Niger Niger Republic and come into Sokoto. When you have that information, you also need people on ground to go and intervene. So what we are doing well is that we are discussing, we're implementing systems that will allow us to recognize people, but we're not doing enough in terms of, okay, let me give you an example. If you recognize somebody, you still have to put his picture on a database and hope that you have his database through his NIN. So if you don't have his NIN, there's no need having the face. The face will not show you anything. It's the same thing with DNA. You must have a data bank of DNAs to be able to recognize that somebody's DNA was there at the crime. So what I'm saying is that there are two sides of the same coin, actually. If we don't do the physical aspect, the online aspect or the digital aspect, as we say, will not be so useful, because at the end of the day, you still have to recognize 200 million Nigerians to be able to use their information properly, which brings us to the other problems linked to that, of course, but we'll talk about that later. So what I'm going to say in this aspect is that we're already doing a lot. We can't say everything here in terms of digital security, satellite assistance through the US, through the Europe. There's something called EPSWA. So it's the European Union assisting West African countries with security apparatus. There's a lot of training going on already in terms of manpower, but we need to do the groundwork. So we need people on ground as well to collaborate with the information you've gotten online. You see what I'm saying? When you get information online, it has to be verified. Otherwise, you are shooting at the wrong people. So it's holistic. We cannot just separate the cybersecurity aspect of it. With all the advantages it has, we cannot separate it from the general security infrastructure that should be on ground.
So very quickly, the Vice President Shettima did mention that the current security challenges in Africa require innovative solutions. How can countries like Nigeria collaborate with technology firms and international partners to develop and implement solutions for border security, especially considering the vast and often porous nature of African borders?
That is it. That's what he's saying. He's saying, please bring out your ideas. Young people should bring out their ideas. We need African-based satellites that can give us information the way we understand it in Nigeria. Not everybody will understand the codes, international codes. I mean, you're talking of in a forest in Sokoto. Our military are already top-notch. I can tell you that. We already work with AFRICOM. We have the Trans-Saharan Counter-Terrorism Partnership, and that has been training people for over 10 years. It's not something new. We have the West African Security Project that has been on for a while, so a lot of capacity building, people are being trained. The thing is, younger people are not going there. We're talking of the next generations. They are not going there. So this call actually is to say, go in there, bring that new, that new zeal that they have, the Gen Zs I'm talking about, and go in there and do something. This is civil military cooperation he's talking about. He's not saying we need more soldiers in that sense. He's saying there's the civilian aspect to it. And so it comes back to what we said earlier. Let's get our younger guys who are very bright. Some of our Nigerians are the best internet guys, the best AI guys around the world. They have to come and help the country. But for this to happen, the government itself has to open itself. So yes, collaboration can work. Private companies are already there. Private security companies are already working. Niger Republic, for example, is using a lot of private security companies because the Wagner Group itself has to work with private security apparatus over there. So we can do the same here and control our borders. Of course, that also needs customs people from the customs and excise. It needs more immigration officers who are like tech savvy. You see what I'm saying? It's not about carrying the gun. It's tech savvy and being able to analyze information, being able to digest information, and actually be able to observe and allow our planning and strategy. So it's a big file. The vice president just said it that way, casually almost. But it's actually a very big file, and it should be the biggest file in terms of security, because we've been doing all the rest. We've been bombarding, as you know, but we're not actually very proactive. That's we're not catching them before they act, which is what we should be doing, which is what cybersecurity and AI will help us to do.
All right. Okay. Alex Okonkwo, security expert and public affairs analyst, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.